G'day folks, here are 10 awesome transformative metal cover songs. G'day folks, Jeffy, welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing a video on metal cover songs. Now, not just normal metal cover songs, they have to be transformative, as I say, so I have to change it up a bit. You know, there's a lot of metal cover songs out there when you get to it. And I mean, you know, there's nice ones, but you know, this list has to be something different. It can't just be, you know, Sleep covering a Black Sabbath song. I do have a ton of, you know, tribute albums like Carcass one, Regurgitate one, Impetigo one. But the problem with those, I mean, they're great. Don't get me wrong. I love the versions on there, but most of them are bands that already sound like Carcass or Impetigo. So it's not a vast change, if you know what I mean. I'm more after, you know, like a jazz funk band doing an Autopsy cover, or there isn't one of those, sadly. That'd be kind of good, actually. Anyway, so I want to be different. There are a couple in this that are kind of like deathed up versions of, you know, older songs that, yeah, I break my rules occasionally, but yeah. And I mean, a prime example of a good compilation as far as transformative songs is this Virus 100. This is a compilation of Dead Kennedy covers. This came out on Alternative Tentacles, unsurprisingly. So, you know, it's got, you know, country bands on there, Faith No More's on there, Napalm Death's on there, Sepultura's on there, Neurosis is on there. Actually, one of my favourite songs on here is actually the Disposable Heroes of Hypocrisy, the like rap band doing California Uber Alles. It's totally different. So yeah, I was tempted to put that list in here, but yeah, maybe not. So there are a lot of bands that do this quite well. I mean, Liebark, I mean, they're not a metal band, but they're an industrial band. But, you know, this album is the Beatles' Let It Be covered in its entirety. All different versions of, or, you know, all different types of styles and stuff in there. It's pretty whacked out sort of stuff. I mean, they also do the Sound of Music soundtrack in its entirety, which does not sound like the old Hammers or whatever. So, yeah, this... As I said, I'm allowing some songs that are, you know, slightly deathed up there. But yeah, no Death Painkiller. That's a prime example. They covered Painkiller on Sound of Perseverance or whatever. And, I mean, it's all right. I mean, the original song is way better. But all it does, it doesn't sound like Death particularly. I mean, it almost sounds like later era Chuck when his singing wasn't too great, but it's just them trying to sound like Judas Priest. It's not what I want in this video. Don't get me wrong, there's plenty of good bands, you know, like all the Sabbath ones. You know, they're trying to sound like Sabbath, but a bit heavier. That's fine, but not for this video. So with this, I also have to like the new version of the song as well. It doesn't have to be better, and believe me, there's some that aren't necessarily better because you ain't getting better than the original, like, Slayer song or whatever that's on this list. One thing I will point out is I sadly don't own any Anton Maiden, who was this classic guy that did sort of Casio, real bodgy sounding versions of Iron Maiden songs that, yeah, I think he was dead serious. I don't think anyone took him too seriously. I kind of liked it, but sadly he kind of killed himself after a while. But yeah, sadly I don't have any of his CDs. I wonder what they're worth. But so yeah, there's a batch of bands that try and do it differently as well. Like, I mean, there's like a Metallica EP by that Die Krups band, like another industrial band that just do Metallica and does not sound like Metallica. So, and there are a heap of stuff that are not on this list. This is only 10 of my favorites. This is just what I thought of at work without access to my, you know, full library and stuff. So yeah, I may well do more of these videos, but. And I mean, there are songs that aren't actually covered in this as well because there aren't studio versions of them, like bands that I saw live. You know, I mean, Alchemist I saw live a hell of a lot. They did a batch of different covers. They did like Pungent, Stench and Autopsy, which, yeah, sounded like, well, they're a bit Alchemist-y, but still pretty similar to that. But they used to do Message in a Bottle by the Police, so which did not sound like the Police, unsurprisingly. It sounded pretty cool, actually. And yeah, there's other ones like... what was it? Superfine Happy Slide used to cover a Mayhem song like Death Crush, I think, and which was, you know, they're a grind band, and yeah, it sounded pretty different. You know, speaking of grind, Bloodduster used to do this beautiful thing in the middle of the song Vulgar Taste, where they'd sort of, you know, at a certain break in it, they just suddenly launch into a different song. They used to do In the Shadow of the Horns and batch of other Raining Blood maybe for a while. So yeah, all these different bits. But one of my most favourite live things that I don't know if there's a proper version of it, is Ministry, when I saw them back on, I don't know, what was it, mid-90s, whatever, on, I think it was maybe just prior to Filth Pig coming out. And yeah, they were still one of the heaviest bands I've ever seen, but yeah, they covered Supernaut by Black Sabbath, and it was so ridiculously heavy and catchy. Now I know that Al's sort of side muck around band, 1,000 Homo DJs, did cover it, and it's sort of like a Ministry-ish version, but live it was so much better. I might have been assisted by some chemicals I was on, but at any rate, it was bloody good, I'm sure. So yeah, this is just 10 cover songs that I really like. I'll play little snippets of them. I don't want to play too much because I'll get in trouble, but anyway, let's get into it. All right, we'll start with the inspiration for this video. On Wednesday, I was driving to work and was blasting away to Slaughter, their Strapato album, and got up to the song Disintegrator, Incinerator, and I always loved a bit when it sort of breaks between these two songs and he goes, "Make way for the incinerator." And I thought, yeah, I love that version, but I really love when Barney growls it on, on this, basically. This is Leaders Not Followers. This is a compilation that came out of Napalm of just 6 cover songs. Now, I really love this compilation. This came out in like 99, so it was like a sort of a changeover period for Napalm. They'd put out probably one of their shitter albums and would yet to make Enemy of the Music Business, which is, you know, their turnaround sort of bit. So I was very happy when this came out. Now, I could pick Nazi Punk's Fuck Off, which is, Dead Kennedys cover, legendary cover that they do, and quite transformative, really. I mean, Barney does not sound like Jello Biafra, that's for sure. There's some other killer songs on here. I mean, there's Maggots in Your Coffin by Repulsion, but hey, that's not really very transformative. So the one that I'm going to pick, which also isn't super transformative, I've got to say, is Back from the Dead by Deth. Now, that was an old demo song that I have on this dodgy bootleg. So, I don't know, it's probably from 85 or 86, somewhere around there. Some reason it was not released, other than dodgy bootlegs on, it was a demo by the name of Back from the Dead. Some reason it's not even on this CD version, which does, this original one has extra tracks. It's got Beyond the Unholy Grave and Land of No Return. Yet it's an absolute killer bloody Death song. I don't know why the hell they didn't redo it, like with proper sound, because it is demo quality, that's for sure. But the Napalm one, yeah, as I said, I mean, it's already death metal there. It's not a giant stretch of or change of style, that's for sure. Napalm don't have the somewhat silly Alfred Hitchcock intro music. And yeah, the original is pretty bloody quick. I think it's when they had Eric from like DRI drumming for him. So he's doing sort of near blast beats, but Napalm, yeah, they blast it up as unsurprisingly. So yeah, Danny goes full blast on it. And I mean, the sound is just infinitely better, a lot heavier. But I tell you what, it has some of the toughest bloody riffs in it. As I said, I'm really very surprised that Death didn't continue using it or cover it on, like redo it on even Leprosy. It would have sounded bloody killer. So, yeah, not that transformative, but it rules. I love that version so much. All right, the next one we're going to pick is from this Slatanic Slaughter, unsurprisingly, a Slayer tribute album. Now, this came out on Black Sun Records or something or other. A heap of killer bloody bands on it. And, I mean, a lot of these versions are absolutely killer. There's Merciless do a great version of Cryonics, and they use the best bit is at the end they use a classic sort of, it's this classic old bootleg, I think, of Slayer at Dynamo or something or other in sort of, I don't know, Hell Awaits sort of era. And he's introducing, I think it's Captor of Sin, and it's just, yeah, Tom's a bit crude in those days. And so, yeah, they beautifully use that at the end, and then it goes into At the Gates doing Captor of Sin bloody well as well. So, they're all, pretty much every song on here is really good, except the Cemetery one of South Heavens a bit. Yeah, the vocals are somewhat cringy. But yeah, so most songs are all on this, you know. I mean, there's like Edge of Sanity and Slave. There's killer bands. Dissection do Antichrist. They're not. They're just not that transformative though. Really, I mean, they sound like, you know, Hypocrisy doing Black Magic as death metal version of Black Magic with them growling away, of course. But yeah, the one song on here that does though is the last song, Grope. It's like a Danish kind of groove metal band or something or other. I checked out one of their first album, and yeah, it was not my thing. It's sort of like, I don't know, kind of groove metal Machine Head sort of style. However, when they play Spill the Blood, they do it amazingly. The version on this is just legendary. I don't think I have any of this on my phone except for that one song because I listen to it regularly. So yeah, they have sort of just heavied it up a bit. But they really have changed quite a bit of it. It starts with like a sample from Evil Dead 2 about, you know, the poor professor trapped in hell or wherever, telling him to recite the passages, etc., etc. So cool intro. Kicks in with a nice little mellow. I mean, the original version, obviously from South to Heaven, Spill the Blood, it's a different sort of song for Slayer. It is sort of not quite ballady, but it does have some, you know, pretty mellow bits in it. And they start with the mellow, but then, yeah, of course, once the drums kick in, it's full death metal-y sort of style, way heavier than anything Grope ever did, I reckon. They also slowed it down a bit as well, just makes the main riff just a bit more sort of tougher sounding. They do have a bit, it sort of speeds up before the solos kick in, and it's just perfect sounding, really punctuated by this huge death grunt. And then they have, you know, lots of wanky solos, but then this massive build-up bit with the Join Us bit from Hell Awaits, like, which I think is also out of Evil Dead 1 or 2, as well as the real sample of Join Us, not just the backwards bit. And then just all hell breaks loose. It has this super heavy sort of chug section with growled and screamed vocals, just doing the kind of the spill your blood, let it blah, 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 blah. But then it kicks back in with the rest of the chorus, and it's just so perfectly done. I love it so much. I will put links to at least the cover versions of these below if I can find them. Yeah, you probably don't need a link to the real Slayer one, but the Grope version is definitely worth hearing. I mean, I've always loved the original one. It's a Slayer song I don't think gets enough love, really, to tell the truth. It's always been one of my favourites. Definitely one of my favourites off South of Heaven. So, but yeah, this version is just so over the top. It's beautiful. I love it so much. I don't actually own the second one of these. There is at least one more, but, you know, with a similar sort of lineup of pretty damn decent sized sort of bands. This is from like mid-90s. It's 96, I think. The second one, I do have it digitally, and yeah, it's not that inspiring, really. The only song that probably might qualify for this sort of video is, I think it's Cradle of Filth to Hell Awaits, which you'd think, oh. But they actually changed it up a lot. They cradleize it quite a bit. It's got, you know, like keyboards and Danny squealing as usual, but it actually does change the song quite a bit. So props to them for that. I think they have a few other covers. There's like a Hallowed Be Thy Name one that, yeah, I listened to it just before. It didn't quite blow me away, but at any rate, Grope song on this, amazing.
Now smell the stench of immortality. You smell the blood. Stench of immortality. You smell the blood.
All right, up next, well, you have this. This is a Less Than Zero soundtrack, a movie from the 80s that, oh God, I haven't seen probably since the 80s. This took me a damn long time to track down this one. This is back in the days before Discogs and handy, you know, eBay and stuff like that. I finally tracked this down, I think in Sydney in some bodgy second-hand CD shop. Now, you might be thinking, what do you want a movie soundtrack for? But the reason why I do is because it has Slayer on it. I'm a diehard Slayer fan, so this has Slayer covering In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida, classic old Iron Butterfly song. I would hold up their CD, but it's in the shed and I couldn't be bothered getting out. You know what the cover looks like. So yeah, Slayer for this soundtrack. It's about the only place you can find it other than this ridiculous box set that I just have to show off because it's so huge. Yeah, they covered In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida. Now they changed it quite a bit. That's why they. And I got to say, I'm not sure I like this version better than the Iron Butterfly one. It's very different though, that's for sure. I'm pretty sure Slayer really don't like this one, and I do get the feeling it was a bit rushed. Tom sounds a little rough on this, a bit raw sort of thing. Nowhere near as polished as usual. I mean, and yeah, they've pretty much just taken the main riff from In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida, a pretty legendary one, and just Slayer-fied it really. I mean, what a riff! It's fair enough. It's pretty pretty damn fine riff to Slayerize. Obviously, their version is a lot faster and shorter. It's like 3 minutes 20 or something or other. The original one is 17 minutes long. And yeah, the Slayer one, as I said, I mean, it's got the proper sort of lyrics, and pretty woeful sort of solos in it that they've just slapped in there. The original is a lot classier, a lot more mellow. I mean, it is 30 years beforehand or whatever, or 20 years. So yeah, no long, lengthy keyboard solo. Yeah, it's very different. Definitely sounds a bit rushed, but I don't know, there's just something about it. It's just got a rawness and energy to it that I really enjoy. I mean, as far as Slayer go, they're not lacking in covers either. Obviously, there's the whole Undisputed Attitude covers album that they put out. So, and yeah, there's, I mean, they're all punk songs, so they don't sound exactly like Slayer. I mean, they didn't originally sound like Slayer, is what I mean. So there's some that could have been on this for sure. I actually really like, speaking of this, there's like an extra track that isn't on, well, it's not on my CD at any rate. They do Memories of Tomorrow by Suicidal Tendencies. Not particularly transformative, it's just fast Slayer bashing it out sort of thing, but it's sad that it's not on this for some reason, so I have to dig the old box set out occasionally for that one. So, plus, I mean, obviously Slayer have got Dissident Aggressor, also on South of Heaven, classic old Priest song as well. So it was fun. So I don't think when I saw Judas Priest, I don't think I actually had their version of it. And the song comes on, I'm like, yeah, I know that song. I've had South of Heaven since it came out. I love it. Yay! So yeah, good old Slayer. Can't go wrong there. There was another Slayer song covered by a different band that I was going to put in this, but I only wanted to do 10, so they'll be in the next video, I'd say. Because, yeah, you can't go wrong covering Slayer. Bloody awesome band. Alright, next up we're going with this one. This is a Napalm Death interpretation album of, so it's basically a 28 bands doing Scum in its entirety, totally differently. This is recorded at Goat Sound by, Jason Fuller of, Dern Rutledge, Birdcage, Ruiner, and some other band, I can't remember. So yeah, this is all recorded at his studio. Proceeds went to charity, so a very damn good thing to do, and also cool. Covering all of Scum, fine by me. So most of the bands on this are metal or grind or hardcore sort of thing, and doing it pretty faithfully or heavying it up a bit sort of thing. So a lot that don't really count for this video. I mean, they're bloody cool versions of them, but yeah, it's not transformative enough really. On this, I do kind of like I think it's Spawn maybe do a slow down version of The Kill. I mean, there's some really good versions on there. Reaper sort of sound tough as hell. They're kind of crusty metal version of it. This probably actually has the final recording of the band The Kill. Not doing the song The Kill, they're doing Control, I think. That might be the last recording of them, unfortunately. One of the good ones is Life by Hot Fudge Sunday. It's like this weird sort of indie version of it, but the vocals are just too Aussie sounding. It throws me off. And I mean, there's some amusing stuff on here. Wounded Pig have like a drum machine on fast, basically. I think it's Raw Filth do Success, but Filth the band do a really raw version of Success, but I think that succeeds mainly because the song Success is so bloody good. One of the songs that was actually in the running for this video is Bunyip. no idea who they are. They just do this sort of Aussie pub rock sort of version of what's it called? As the Machine Rolls On. Um, it does not sound anything like the original. It's great. This does have ESP Mayhem on it as well, a weird sort of keyboardy grind band, but their song, it's not quite weird enough sounding. It's still pretty good, don't get me wrong, but it could be stranger. I was kind of hoping for more from a band called Cosmic Kahuna, but yeah, it's a bit average. The one that won for this, though, for me, is a band called Birdcage. Now, this is a surf band. Now, it does have some, pretty legendary dudes in it from, Bloodduster and the Day of Them Became Nothing and a batch of other bands. But they're instrumental surf rock band, and they do the song Scum itself, which, legendary bloody song. Sorry, I better hold the real version up just because it's just so pretty. Look at that cover. Look at those idiots. Birdcage do, a surf rock version of Scum, and it's beautifully transformative, very different, of course. But they did really pick the perfect song, and I mean, it is Jason's compilation, and I'm sure he went, I want to do Scum. It's my compilation. We're doing Scum. Up yours. Because it does fit perfectly. It does have some, discernible riffs for once. And yeah, it just sounds dreamy, which that's not something you'd normally think with Scum sort of thing. So the main riff, it just sounds so cruisy. It's sort of like the James Bond theme song or something. I love it. And then it's got the breakdown bit partway through. It's just so smooth and mellow. I mean, there's no even attempts at blasting or anything like that. It is just surf rock. It's great. Their one wins on that by a mile. It's so good fun. I do kind of wish some of these bands were even weirder. Like, I wish a band just did their own song for like 5 minutes and then just bunged the kill on right at the end just for the hell of it. But anyway. I'll put a link to this whole compilation down below. Now, I think there was not very many of these records, so you might have some trouble tracking this down, but yeah, you can at least get it digitally at least. So yeah, surf rock version of Napalm, can't go wrong. And that actually reminds me of a thing that I love it so much. I don't know who did it. There's like surf cover songs of like, Emperor and Burzum and, Mayhem and stuff. I'll see if I can find the links to those and put them below as well. They're just hilarious, like super surf. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the sort of inspiration for the Birdcage maybe, but yeah, that level of black metal does sound like surf music anyway, almost. So yeah, it's beautifully done. So I need more surf metal or surf covers of metal bands. I think we need more. Alright, the next one we're picking is a song called Why Can the Bodies Fly? Now, originally this was done by Warning. It's like an old German, I don't know what sort of band. The original was from like 1982. I didn't actually have it until the last couple of years. I didn't even think to look it up. And I love it so much. It's great. It's just like really sinister sounding like 80s pop music. It's odd. Really weird, raspy sort of vocals. Just huge contrast to the bouncy happy music. But yeah, the reason why I bring them up is because Pungent Stench covered them on this Dirty Rhymes and Psychotronic Beats. Thankfully I have this Aussie version out, which has not the full cover, let's just put it that way. This Aussie one has an extra track, which is why I leave it on the shelf instead of my other German one that has the full cover on the front, which, I'm not showing you the inside of this. At any rate, Pungent do it as well. They sort of heavy it up quite a bit, obviously. I mean, they got the growled vocals on this, although they're not particularly growled compared to some of their other songs. But yeah, what they've done is just add their killer groove to it. It's so much fun. Really nice, snappy sort of snare sound as always. It's a silly kind of song, but such joy to it. And the weird poppy sort of sounds are still there in the background. It has this sort of, I think it's supposed to be clapping, but like drum machine clapping in the background. It does a little sort of solo bit partway through, and there's keyboards, and it's just catchy as hell. So much fun. The original one has a great film clip that I'll put a link to below. It's like just two guys wandering around looking like Darth Vader with, big sort of capes on and kind of those flight masks that Sabbath have on the front cover of Never Say Die. It's a special film clip. I don't know why I got around to it. Or maybe I just was listening to this and thought, I wonder what the original sounds like. Found it on YouTube and it's like, okay, cool. So, yeah, they do a grand. I mean, this one they actually, Pungent also cover the 4F's Club, a charming song, which is a Mentors cover, which just perfectly fits with their sleaze. But yeah, I think Why Can the Bodies Fly is just so much fun. I don't know if they ever played it live. Maybe they did. I can't remember. Wouldn't have had all the weird effects and shit in the background, but yeah, the version of this is hilarious. I love it so much. All right, next up is a cover of these fine chaps, Beherit. This is Finnish black metal gods. It's the song covered as The Gate of Nana, off this Drawing Down the Moon, which is iconic bloody song. It's kind of bizarre, really, if you think about it, for a black metal band. It's like mostly sort of slow and weird and just epic riff with, Nocturno Holocaustos, just sinister whispered kind of vocals over it and strange sort of spoken bit. It does sort of speed up in parts, but mostly it's just punishingly slow. And then kicks in the Ave Satan sort of bit with keyboards and another more slowness. So it's an odd sort of track, but pretty iconic, that's for sure. Now, the band that covered it, I don't own this, unfortunately. Reverend Bizarre, another Finnish band, but a Finnish doom band, very, very doom. They covered it on their split with Electric Wizard, which, it's not cheap to track down. Now, for some reason, I thought I already owned their Death is Glory Now compilation, which also has it on it. Compilation of some of their 7 inches. But, I own a ton of bloody Reverend Bizarre, except for that, for some reason. I got like 3 LP box sets, all sorts of crap, but not that one, unfortunately. So, anyway, I'll put a picture of it up. So, yeah, they do a Doom version, really. It's pretty similar sort of length. They haven't really slowed it down too much more. It obviously doesn't sound like black metal, that's for sure. It's still reasonably similar sort of speed, but yeah, they have clean vocals. So Albert does the clean sort of one that it fits perfectly on the Ave Satan, Ave Lucifer sort of bit. He does give the occasional sort of, Tom Warrior, death grunty kind of bit, which is a bit surprising for those guys, but pretty fitting, really. They do use the weird sort of whispery bits as well, like the nana bits, and doesn't have keyboards, but it's got sort of like guitar slowly ringing out kind of style. And yeah, so it's a doomed version. It's not vastly different, but just with the clean vocals, it just, I don't know, it fits perfectly with the sound of Reverend Bizarre because they're already very slow in the first place. They're not like a death doom band. They're very trad doom, true circle of doom, whatever the hell they are. But I love their stuff. And when I heard that, I was like, oh yeah, that fits perfectly. So yeah, that's another damn fine Transformative one. Alright, the next one, I don't own the original one of either, but I'll put a picture of it up. Kim Wilde. She did a British pop star. Her debut single, I believe, was Kids in America. You probably know that very well. It's a great song. Just catchy as hell. Pretty standard 80s pop song, bass and keyboards and then a mega chorus sort of thing. Always a winner with that na 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 sort of bit. Can't go wrong with sing-alongs. The film clip was pretty basic. And so, of course, the logical band to cover it, and I'm sure you know exactly where I'm going. Lawnmower Deth. This is a rather weird British sort of kind of thrash grind crossover, weird sort of band. For some reason in 1991 they decided to cover Kids in America. Sadly, it's not on this amazing Oh Crikey album of theirs. I just want to hold that up because that Dancy Grope cover art, so good. So yeah, they did this song, which was a surprising hit for them. I mean, as I said, the original is a legendary song. This one, I think it's legendary for different reasons, you could say. They do actually a pretty faithful sort of cover of it. It's obviously very metalled up. It's still got some keyboards and March worth singing, bloody hell. But yeah, still has that catchy chorus. It's a winner. They don't go full, blasting, screaming craziness sort of stuff, but it is quite a bit faster. And of course, they made like a sort of a better, or probably much worse, really, film clip to it. Just them being idiots on a farm out in the middle of nowhere. But it does have some ride-on lawnmower action, which is always a winner. I do kind of wonder if Lawnmower Deth ever watched that video back and just go, oh, Jesus, what were we thinking? There's some painful sort of bits of them just singing to camera that are just like, okay. So yeah, this is a transformative one, that's for sure. It's not necessarily a better one by any means. I do kind of like this song, but I also recognise that it's kind of shit. But and they split up for donkey's years, but have gotten back together in the last decade or two, and they actually somehow got Kim up on stage live at Download Festival, a massive UK festival in 2016, I think. She looked a bit horrified, but played along. They even did like a short, silly grind song like Egg Sandwich, and then Watch Out Grandma. I'll put a link below to it. It's up on YouTube and pretty amusing. She did seem to be quite enjoying it. I think and she sang, half of this as well. I think it's maybe a bit fast for her compared to the normal one. But she's now like I think a TV presenter on gardening and stuff like that. So, yeah. Amusingly, I was looking her up on Wikipedia. There's a whole bit on this song. And it mentions other bands covering it. Dave Grohl covered it or something or other. I mentioned a Lawnmower Deth. I think I'm going to have to edit some Wikipedia action, I think. It's bit of a travesty that they're not mentioned. It's mentioned that a death metal band covered it, but they don't say Lawnmower Deth. Oh, rip off. Anyway, this is somewhat ridiculous cover, but I love it. It's so silly. It's great. All right, the next one is Satyricon. This is the original band. This is their Volcano album, and the song is Fuel for Hatred. Now, of course, what sort of band would cover that? A gore grind band. The day everything became nothing. So, yeah, this is their, what's it called? Slow Death by Grinding EP, on which they cover Fuel for Hatred. So, yeah, black metal meets gore grind. Not a standard combination, you'd think, but, I mean, honestly, the Satyricon version is not particularly black metal in the first place. It's pretty much just a rock and roll song with some raspy vocals over the top of it. Obviously, they were heading more towards a sort of rockier end of things after Rebel Extravaganza, and of which Volcano is the sequel to. So, and I mean, honestly, this isn't actually that transformative. It's just the day covering it pretty bloody similarly, but just with a much heavier sound. These guys do speed it up slightly. It's mostly pitch-shifted vocals, but they do sort of scream the chorus, which is a nice sort of touch. I'm quite certain they did this as Tony, the singer, as quite the die-hard Satyricon fan. I'm pretty sure he's got a tattoo on his arm of their logo sort of thing, so he's keen. Plus, I mean, the song rules. It ruled live when they played it as well. It was a killer song. I mean, it's just catchy as buggery rock and roll song, pretty much. The one thing they do change slightly on this is there's a sort of slower section, which is bloody killer on the original one, and the day sort of speed it up a bit. It just sounds so good with the really detuned sound, and kind of allows you to hear Marty's sort of drums. They sort of shine through a bit more than Frost does on the original one. So I've always wondered if Tony managed to ever get this into Satyr's hands and see what he said about it. I'm sure he'd be like, what is this crap? But who knows? I like it. It's great. It's a great version, that's for sure. All right, next up we have the legends themselves, the Beatles. Now, surprisingly, there aren't that many covers of the Beatles by metal bands that I can find, but except for Typo Negative on this World Coming Down, they have like the last song is a medley of 3 different Beatles songs sort of slapped together. Which I don't own the originals of for some reason. I got heaps of Beatles. I don't have those albums on anything, weirdly, because one of them's Abbey Road. But at any rate, so it does have 3 songs. It's got Day Tripper, If I Needed Someone, and I Want You, She's So Heavy. So obviously the Beatles are a massive influence on Pete Steele. For Typo Negative, it's fairly obvious when you listen to a lot of the Beatles, and his music is very similar. Obviously, Black Sabbath's another major influence. And yeah, they do actually have some good Black Sabbath covers as well for Typo Negative. But yeah, I love this Beatles one. It's great. He managed to pick 3 really good songs as well. So starts with Day Tripper with his, like, him shouting it. It's so heavy and nasty. I mean, the main iconic sort of riff is just fuzzed out massively by these guys, and just sounds so bloody great. It's I love it, and it just works really well with his sort of crooning vocals. I mean, World Coming Down's their 4th album, I think, so they're already full goth. I mean, they were slightly non-goth on that album, but yeah, it sounds really nice. Then it sort of segues into If I Needed Someone, which is like a nice sort of George song off Rubber Soul. It's pretty mellow, and they keep it pretty mellow. Gets the nice sort of singing from Pete and some, psychedelic sort of sounds. The drums are not quite as upbeat as Ringo's original ones, which is, not surprising. It is Typo Negative after all. So, and then it sort of brings it back with the nasty sort of, him yelling Day Tripper again, and then another sort of, verse chorus of Day Tripper. And then it goes into perfectly logical song. I Want You, She's So Heavy. It's a song off Abbey Road, the last Beatles album, and just perfect fit for them. I mean, honestly, it's like proto-doom metal, really. It came out a year before first Black Sabbath, so yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Mr. Iommi owned that one. It doesn't have the nice sort of the original's a song of sort of halves. The I Want You bit's a nice sort of, catchy sort of bit. It doesn't have any of that. It's all a She's So Heavy bit, which is just crawling doom sort of one. The original's bloody heavy. This one's even heavier. It's got like super fuzzed out guitars again, mournful sort of Pete vocals, and yeah, they slow it down to even more of a crawl. Plus, it even has this sort of wacky sort of classic sort of dead stop ending that the original has, like in the middle of a like measure or whatever. It's like, okay. Honestly, I could have handled a whole album of Beatles covers from Typo Negative. I'm sure that they could do some other amazing bloody ones. And I'm really surprised that there aren't more Beatles covers. I mean, just like, I kind of sing it to myself all the time. The classic song, All You Need Is Love. You could easily death metal that up and make it All You Need Is Blood. Oh, simple stuff. What are you guys doing out there? So yeah, that's probably my favorite Typo cover. I really do love their Cinnamon Girl cover by, I think it's a Neil Young song that rules. And as I said, the Black Sabbath ones are pretty good as well. But yeah, Beatles stuff just fits so perfectly for them.
If I needed someone, had you I needed someone.
All right, and the last one is a cover of Staying Alive by the Bee Gees. This is from their Saturday Night Fever movie soundtrack, which has the Bee Gees and some other bands on it. Legendary stuff. I genuinely love some Bee Gees songs. Mostly More Than a Woman's probably my favourite, but Staying Alive's another killer one. I mean, all the songs on here are bloody killer. Night Fever, You Should Be Dancing, How Deep Is Your Love, bloody hell. Yeah, I'm a bit of a sucker for disco, especially disco with like stringed instruments in the background. Oh, I'm a complete sucker for that. But I mean, the song Staying Alive, the beat, the bass line, vocals, everything, I still kind of find the high vocals a little comical, to tell the truth, but I love them even more so because of that reason. So, but I'll tell you what, watching the film clip to this, Barry Gibb's got a weird mouth. Maybe it's only when he does the high stuff, which is pretty much the whole song. I don't know, maybe he's got too many teeth. It just looks odd when I look at it. At any rate, you're probably well aware where I'm going with this. So this is the original. The cover one is our good friends AC. This is a single they put off their second album, Top 40 Hits, which is probably my favourite AC album, I got to say. So, yeah, there's no way I could resist this. I got this from Earache like ages ago for like $4 or something ridiculously cheap. So, yeah, this is Staying Alive, the Oi version. So, yeah, I mean, it's AC. It's not going to sound like disco, that's for sure. Completely different other than the lyrics. So yeah, it's a snotty hardcore sort of version, just ridiculously growled vocals from Seth. Even for him, they're ridiculous sounding. I'm never quite sure why he does he counts to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't know if it's an Oi thing that I don't know of, but I don't know, because it's not in the original one. No idea what's going on there. So, but yeah, I genuinely love the version of the song, and it fits perfectly with this because it's very transformative. It's a hardcore Oi version of Staying Alive. Who the hell would have thought to do that? So, plus I absolutely love the cover art and the tribute. You got the band standing in the background in the same pose. Bloody punk dude about to punch the cameraman on the AC one. Oh, it's absolute gold. Perfect stuff. So yeah, that's my number 10. Definitely one of my favorite ridiculously transformative covers.
Feel the city breaking and everybody shaking and we're staying alive, staying alive. I stay alive, stay alive. Stay alive.
There's plenty of other cover albums or songs I could choose. I mean, Metallica have a ton on this. This has got like the 598 EP on it, and the original Garage Days one with but really, they don't sound vastly different than Diamond Head on Am I Evil or Misfits on, Last Caress sort of thing. So, I mean, there are maybe some of the Garage Inc., the newer songs on here, they are quite different, but yeah. Obviously, this is the Nope section. Megadeth. Their first 3 albums all have covers on them, all of which are shit. I mean, they're not absolutely terrible, but Killing Is My Business has got these boots that, yeah. I Ain't Superstitious totally drags his album down. The rest of it, perfection, amazing freaking album. And then, yeah, let's bung I Ain't Superstitious on it. I mean, again, the original song's great by itself, not as a Megadeth bloody cover. And then, of course, Anarchy in the UK, which admittedly I have watched the film clip of a lot because I used to have it on video, and this is one of my very first metal albums, so I've heard it a few times. I do kind of like it, but it does still kind of suck as well. One that, yeah, really kind of spoils the album as well as the CD version of Dimension Hatress. This is a fancy box set version, but the original CD as well has the Batman theme song on it, from the 60s TV show, that da-na-na-na-na-na-na, and it's done by Voivod. And after the amazing album that Dimension Hatress is, it really does not need to be on there, that's for sure. And probably the worst one, actually, the worst one I don't have at all, I just happened to be listening to it the other day, is the Swedish death metal band Deranged. Killer band, don't get me wrong. And I can't remember what album was on, Rated X maybe, or one of their albums. And the rest of the album, absolutely killer. They're very full-on bludgeoning sort of Swedish death metal. And then they do Painted Black at the end by Rolling Stones. And, yeah, nah. No, it's not good at all. Don't know why they did that. But the worst one that I own that I can think of is this Braheria with their Marijuana. They do the Macarena, like, the dance song They do a marijuana version of it that's not good at all. It's sort of comical the first time, but even I don't think he'd even last the whole song without just going, oh god, that's a bit shit. So yeah, for some reason I bought this. It does have some live songs on it that are not absolutely terrible and a totally unnecessary re-recording of Matando Gueros, but yeah. Unless you're a diehard Brahira fan, do not buy this. It sucks. So, as I said, I do plan on doing more of these because, this first list is pretty much all stuff I could just think of at work. So I have another list of plenty more stuff. I don't even own those sort of the Black Sabbath tribute ones, Nativity in Black. I've started listening to them this morning. I was like, well, yeah, what is going on with that Machine Head cover of Hole in the Sky? Holy crap. That was not great. Same with the version of Snowblind by System of a Down was a bit different. Tell you what, it probably did apply as transformative, but not in a good way. And, of course, the worst one that I'll... not going to be in the next video. I could probably do a whole video on how crap they are the 6 Feet Under cover albums, of which they have 4, the Graveyard Classics. There's a whole album of AC/DC covers. There's a whole album of, or like half of Maiden and Priest, just done with Chris Barnes growling all the way through it, and just real basic meat and potatoes death metal covers of these songs that just sound awful. Like, I haven't listened to every second of them in their entirety, but I've not heard a good one, put it that way. So, yeah, that's not going to be in the next video, let's put it that way. So, I hope you've enjoyed this. I quite enjoyed doing this. It was just came to me on the drive, and I was like, yeah, why don't I talk about some good, differing, weird song versions of songs? So, I'd be very interested to see lists below in the comments. So, yeah, let me know what I should do in the next video because, yeah, as I said, I've already got a list of some, but there's probably a heap that I've just totally forgotten about. There's a lot of covers out there, that's for sure. So, yeah, let me know. Anyway, thanks again for watching. I'll see you again soon. Cheers.